With the fantasy draft season getting closer and closer each and every day, in this video, I'm going to be exclusively focusing on running backs that you need to be targeting. Specifically in this video, I'm going to be going over 5 running backs that are flying way too low under the radar. So whether you're punting on RB or just looking for league-winning value in the middle rounds, these backs have the offensive juice, the metrics, and the upside to crush their ADP. Let's kick things off in Seattle, where Kenneth Walker is still one of the elite home run threats in the NFL at the running back position. And for starters, I like where he's currently being drafted. Right now, he's going around as the RB15, which typically has him available between the 3rd and 4th round. In 2024, Kenneth Walker led all running backs with broken tackles with 34 total last season, and he also rushed for 975 yards and had 8 touchdowns. His efficiency took a little bit of a dip, with his yards per carry only being at 3.8 yards, but he still was 5th in juke rate. He was 13th in evaded tackles. He also was a top 10 running back in breakaway run rate, yards after contact, and historically he has been strong in all of these categories since coming into the league. Despite the offensive line being a little bit weaker last season, he was actually very effective because of the usage that we saw in the receiving game. In 2024, he had a career high with his receiving yards being at 299. He also ranked 4th among all running backs with a career high in target share. He also saw a catch rate that had him 5th best in the running back position, and he also was a top 13 running back in targets as well. And despite the Seattle Seahawks still having Zach Charbonnet in that backfield, I still believe that Walker has that bell cow usage that will make him an effective option for you in 2025. Next up, we got James Conner out of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I've been hearing so many different articles year in and year out about how this is someone that you should be fading, and every year James Conner ends up being a top 20 running back option and proves all those guys wrong, including myself. But this year I'm not betting against him in 2025, and here is why. Well, for starters, in 4 of his last 5 seasons, he's actually averaged 4.6 yards per carry. And when you look at his fantasy finishes, he was the RB7 in 2021, he was the RB9 in 2022, he was the RB13 in 2023, and he was the RB15 last season in 2024. And one thing to note is how effective he has been as of late, especially when he has been healthy. You can see here that he finished with 16 games last season and also had 13 in back-to-back years, as well as 15 the year prior to that in 2021. And you can see that when he's been healthy, he's been effective, and these stats make that case. You can see here that last season he actually had 414 yards receiving, which was the highest that he's had since 2018, which was his first year as a rookie when he had 497. But he also was a top 5 running back in goal line carries. He was 5th in his rushing EPX rating. He also was 5th in explosive plays. He was 1st in evaded tackles with 92, 1st in juke rate at 32.5%, and 5th in breakaway runs with 16 total. And overall, the Arizona Cardinals offense has a relatively okay offensive line, and Arizona does have more of a balanced offense, and whenever they're in the red zone, James Conner gets a lot of looks, and that is what you want, is opportunity and red zone looks as well, which go a long way with getting potential touchdowns, which obviously will make him more valuable in fantasy. His ADP currently has him going as RB21, which means he's typically available in that 5th round, 6th round range, and someone that could bring huge upside and be a reliable running back 2 for your fantasy option, being that he's someone that typically ends around that range anyways at the end of season, and someone that because of his age is going to get overlooked, but someone that you should be definitely drafting to make sure that you can secure yourself a strong running back option this upcoming season. Now let's head to the Windy City in Chicago, where the next player is going to be DeAndre Swift, and this offense just got rejuvenated with a very familiar fantasy name, and that's going to be new head coach Ben Johnson. I feel like we talk about this guy a lot on the channel, but it's because of how effective he is able to put schemes for his players to thrive in his offenses. And before we go further as far as Ben Johnson and what he's going to be doing for this offense, I want to go over DeAndre Swift's stats last season. DeAndre Swift, even though he had more of an up and down season, he was actually a top 10 running back on breakaway runs, and he also was 5th in yards per reception, 10th in receiving yards, and while also being 10th in carries. Not many running backs are able to have that kind of opportunity. And I know that the offensive line was in the middle of the pack, but the Bears did make some moves to actually improve that O-line, which is why I'm big on this offense in general. And let's go into, of course, the Ben Johnson effect and what I think he will do to help DeAndre Swift have a more effective season in 2025. Ben Johnson, as the OC of the Detroit Lions, had top 5 offenses each of the years that he was there, including a #1 overall scoring offense in 2024, while having the Lions averaging a franchise record 33.2 points per game. And it's backed up with the fact that his offenses consistently finished top 3 in running back rushing touchdowns during his tenure. So in conclusion, I'm drafting DeAndre Swift because number 1, he has an improved offensive line. We know what Ben Johnson can do with running backs with the amount of touchdown opportunities that they're able to get. And I know despite the efficiency issues that we're seeing with Swift, he has the opportunities to outweigh that. And then lastly, the ADP. He's currently being drafted as the RB25, which means that he's available within the 7th round range. And that can make for a phenomenal RB3, a flex option for your roster that can provide the right upside that you need to be successful. We have 2 more players to go over, but before we do so, I need you to help me out. If you're getting value in this video, do me a solid. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It'll go a long way for helping us reach to 1,000 subscribers. We are almost there, and you can make that happen with that support. All right, let's go ahead and go over these last few players. And this next player is going to be one that's a little bit a quiet one, more of a dart throw. But in this channel, you don't come here for layups. We come here for deep players that can make an impact, and that's going to be Tyjae Spears out of the Tennessee Titans. I know what you're telling me. We have Tony Pollard over there. He's the RB1, and that can be very much true. However, I don't think that Tony Pollard is going to be the RB1 for this offense come the end of the season. And I know there's a lot of hype with Cam Ward, and the wide receiver room has a lot to be desired. You have Calvin Ridley that's leading that pack there. However, I think Spears can be a sleeper here. His ADP, he'll be available late, so he's someone that you can grab easily in that 10th round range. He's currently going as the RB41, but I want to focus on some unique stats. And first off, we know that this is going to be Tony Pollard's backfield to begin the season, but I think that the receiving upside that Spears is able to provide should outweigh that opportunity of him being behind the depth chart, because I just don't trust Tony Pollard. And let's look at these stats over here when it comes to Spears and what he was able to do last season. Last season, as a #2 running back that still had enough qualified touches to be within this category, he was 5th in receiving APX among all running backs with a rating of 116.3. His juke rate was also at 22.8%, while also averaging 4.7 yards per touch and having 5 total touchdowns last season as an RB2. And he also was 11th among all running backs in yards created per touch at 4.11. Now, his offensive line is very weak, but they did make some improvements in the interior. And I know that Brian Callahan's system tends to target running backs in the passing game, and that's why this is important to me, because you have a young new quarterback, and typically quarterbacks early in their career will look for those safety nets, so which is why you always want to get a tight end, or in this case a receiving running back, and that's what you see here with Spears. And again, we already know where he is currently going with ADP, so this isn't someone that is going to be much of a risk, but someone that if you have a good foundation with your team, you can have on your bench, and could be someone that could be a league winner towards the end of the year because of the receiving upside alone, and what I believe will be an uptick in volume as well. So Spears is someone that you should be targeting and could make all the impact, especially considering that he doesn't cost you all that much to get on your roster right now. Okay, this last spot goes to a true under the radar gem, and that's going to be Jordan Mason, not from the San Francisco 49ers, but now the Minnesota Vikings. He moved there from via trade. Actually, he signed a 2-year, $7 million contract guarantee, expecting him to be the RB2 behind Aaron Jones. Let me be clear here. For starters, I still think this is Aaron Jones' backfield. But what concerns me, though, is that last season may have been his apex, because he goes to a new team after being with the Packers for so long, goes to the Vikings, and Aaron Jones has a career high in rushing yards at the age 29. At age 29, Aaron Jones has a career season with rushing yards with 1,138, plays 17 games, has 408 receiving yards, which is the highest since 2019. And of course, again, he's now going to be 30 going into this season. So I'm not speaking injury over him, but it's going to be unlikely that he's going to at least produce the same kind of year that he had this past year. And I think that Jordan Mason has the efficiency stats as well as the data to back up this potential sleeper that can take over this backfield later into the season. Currently, his overall ADP has him going as the 113th player off the board, which means he's available in the 11th and 12th round. And last season, when he was the running back covering for Christian McCaffrey when he was injured, Mason forced a missed tackle rate of 36.7% of his touches, making him the third highest in the NFL in that category. And when you look at his overall numbers last year, he finished with 789 rushing yards while having 3 touchdowns on 153 carries. He had 11 receptions for 91 receiving yards. And when you look at these advanced stats for Mason, you can see here that he not only had 5.2 yards per carry while having a explosive 1.20.2 EPX rating, which had him 4th among all running backs. You can see here that he was 7th in true yards per carry with 4.8, while having a rating of 9th overall among running backs in yards per touch at 5.4, and he also was 9th in breakaway runs with 12. And in 8 games where he was the RB1 for the San Francisco for the 49ers, you can see that he was a more than capable running back, averaging 13 yards per game in fantasy and PPR formats. And when you look at this Minnesota Vikings offensive line, they were top 5 in rushing EPA, and they should still have that strong interior, which will open up huge opportunities for Mason if he gets the touches. And again, Kevin O'Connell does have an effective offense that usually has a lot of good outside schemes, which bodes well for Jordan Mason's skill set. And with him potentially being available so late in your drafts, this guy is someone that could be not only a strong handcuff, but could be a league winner because of the amount of volume that he's going to get in this offense and what we've seen him do when he gets the touches. And with that, my friends, this is why you should be drafting Mason. In summary, he's available. He has a really favorable ADP. He's already shown what he can do when he gets the opportunities. And I think that Aaron Jones is going to not be available because we saw his apex last year. I can't imagine he will do the same thing again this year. And 4, when given the opportunities, we saw how efficient he can be when he gets the volume. So Mason, someone who is not worth, someone that you cannot afford to pass up on, considering that he is available late, and someone that you should be definitely drafting in 2025. Hey, you made it to the very end of the video. Thank you so much. It means the absolute world. Do me a solid. If you got value, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are so close to 1,000, and that cannot be done without your support. And hey, if you're looking for more content, I have this mock draft that I went over with a good buddy of mine, going over some different strategies to prepare you for this upcoming season. And I also have some videos here going over some wide receivers that you cannot afford to pass up on as well. Until next time, take care. God bless. Peace.